What is this politics? Welcome to PSIR Online. Today we are going to see the introduction class of our crash course. Okay, in this video we will be seeing the definition of politics, state, government, nation and sovereignty. Right. First let's see what is this politics. So politics means backstabbing, sir. So politics means entering into elections, sir, isn't it? Generally, a person of political science would immediately say, sir, politics is art and science of government, sir. Yes, that is how the politics was actually understood. Art and science of government. The concepts like backstabbing, all those things has been used in a common man setting. Yes, used in all societies. But generally, from the ancient Greek times, the politics, the term politics is generally associated with art and science of government. See, in the ancient Greek world, the city-state was called as polis. Yeah. What were the city-states? Because of the geography of ancient Greece, there were small cities like small countries, independent countries existed. Few were monarchy, few were aristocracy, few had democracy, few were republics, democratic republics. Right? So different kinds of political systems were there, but they were very small, like the size of the Singapore, very small, because of the geography of Greece, but still they had their own independence. Okay, so what we call it as polis. Today we dub it as Greek city-states. Okay, so the term politics had its origin in this term polis. So according to the ancient Greek world, around 500 BC, politics is anything that is regarding, anything that is concerning polis. Anything regarding this polis. You got it? So that is how the term politics came into literature. So politics is nothing but anything that is regarding or anything that is concerning this polis is a Greek city-state. In other words, politics was considered as something that is regarding the state. Okay, in those times, the state is nothing but polis. Okay, and later it was called as Commonwealth, and now we call it as state. For if anyone don't get confused what is the state, sir, if it's a Karnataka is Tamil Nadu state, not like that. Right now, remember, state means an independent country. Okay, I'll give you the exact definition of state little bit later. Right now, remember, state is an independent country. Independent country. Right. So, anything concerning that particular polis or a state, what we said, art and science of government. Art and science of government. Okay. That is how the Greek people were considering politics. Okay. That is how they were understanding politics. So, politics for them, something to do with government. Politics for them, something to do with the activities of the rulers of a country. Okay. The rulers of the country, whether it's a democratic rulers or aristocratic rulers or monarchic rulers, whatever they did, that is politics for them. Right? The years passed by. The understanding of politics changed. Okay. The terminology changed, the understanding changed. But no one comprehensively defined politics. No one tried to understand politics beyond what this Greek people said. Okay. According to the Greek world, man is essentially a political animal. Man is essentially a political animal. Okay. So a man cannot exist without being in politics. That is how Greeks thought. In fact, Pericles, one of the greatest statements of the 500 BC in Greek world, said, see, if you do not have interest in politics, it does not mean that politics will not have interest in you. So Pericles said, in other words, politics is all pervasive. Politics is all pervasive. You cannot just stay away from politics. Even if you stay away from politics, politics still will concern you. In other words, better control, better enter into politics yourself. Because they were speaking about democratic setup in Greek. Otherwise, anyway, politics will control you. Okay, that is how Greek people thought. Man is essentially a political animal. Right. Later on, the politics, understanding of politics changed. The monarchy started to develop. A kingdom started to come all over the world. The concept of democracy was forgotten. The concept of democracy was forgotten. The Greek democracy that was there in the ancient Athens, Athenian democracy, everything was forgotten. And everything started to re-emerge in the 15th and 16th century after the Industrial Revolution, Scientific Revolution, and the 17th and 18th century, the Enlightenment. So all these concept of democracy and everything, republic, all these things started to emerge again. Okay. Lot of movements all around the world started to come. Political movements all around the world started to come. Democratic movements all around the world started to come. Especially it came in Europe. Democratic movements. The people started to fight for rights against the kingdoms, against the kings. All these things happened. Parliamentary democracy emerged. Okay. Independent federal system emerged in US. Written constitution emerged in US. Everything started to come. Slowly and steadily, Europe and the Western world became democratic. What we call liberal democratic. Okay. So different political movements started to come. Socialist movements started to come around the Europe. Okay. So all these things started to come. Still, people understood politics only in this way. Politics is a process that is concerning the state. Okay, that is how people were thinking. So everywhere the disciplines started to come, universities started to come, disciplines started to come, sociology, anthropology, everything started to develop. People started to write a lot on who is a social man, what is the psychology, what is behavioralism, all these things started to write. Who is economic man? Okay. So lot of sociologists, lot of psychologists, anthropologists, they started to write about politics. So political scientists basically were left behind. So slowly political scientists around the 1930s, 1940s, during the behavioral revolution led by Charles Merriam, started to inquire. What is this politics, first of all? What is this politics? Okay. See, politics have been written by many sociologists, psychologists, but no one is asking this pertinent question, very important question. Who is a political man? What is a political situation? So Charles Merriam and his followers during the behavioral revolution went in search of the definition of politics. They wanted to see what exactly politics is. They wanted to develop theories on politics beyond how the Greek world of thought, the art and science of government. Right? Okay. So who does this for the very first time? Many researchers started to happen to define politics. In the Western world, one famous political scientist, mark this name, you will read this name again and again in many social political philosophies, including international relations compared to politics. Very, very famous personality. He is basically a psychologist. Harold Lasswell. Harold Lasswell. He said to, he roamed around the Europe as a researcher, as a psychologist, as a researcher. He wanted to understand how this politics is used, the term politics is used. Who is this political man? After his research, he understood one thing. Man is essentially a power seeker. Man is essentially a power seeker. In any situation, man tries to augment more power, influence other people, set rules and regulations in such a way that they dominate, they become powerful. And Harold Lasswell said this habit where man tries to seek more power, this is where man becomes a political man. You understood? This is where a man becomes a political man. Who is a political man? A man who tries to seek more power, said Harold Lasswell. Okay. So what is a political situation? Harold Lasswell said a situation where it demands a domination or show of power of one person over the other person. Okay. So that is what Harold Lasswell saw. So then according to Harold Lasswell, what is these institutions? What are these institutions? Like parliamentary institutions, the government we have, MLA, MPs, and everything we have, doesn't we? According to him, these institutions are manifestations of power relations, he said. You understood? So he defined politics as a struggle for power. Politics as a struggle for power. Very, very important definition. Okay. According to Harold Lasswell, politics is all pervasive. Politics is all pervasive. It is not just to do with government, not just something to do with state, kingdoms, what the rulers do. Okay. Harold Lasswell said, everyone tries to seek power even in a family setting. Even in a family setting. Among a peer group, we try to seek more power. We try to dominate others. We try to set the rules of the family. Don't we? As a parent, probably as a parent, I'll try to set rules of my family so that I am powerful. Okay, you have to do this. You have to do that. Right? So as a father, probably, or as a mother, probably, I'm trying to seek more power in a family setting. In other words, I'm doing politics there, said Harold Lasswell. Said Harold Lasswell. So politics is not something that is only confined to these governments and states, independent countries, what the rulers do, what the government do. No. Not just confined to them. Politics is everywhere. In normal setting, we do politics. Normal setting, we do politics. In family, we do politics. Among peer group, among friends, we do politics. We try to seek more power. We try to dominate. That is how he saw politics. Okay. So, one thing Harold Lasswell has changed from the ancient literature. What is that? According to the ancient literature, politics is something that is concerning only the polis. Here, Harold Lasswell has said, no, not like that. Politics is everywhere. Even in family, we do politics. Even among our friends, relatives, colleagues, we do politics. So it is not that politics is confined only to a state or a government. This distinction he brought. Of course, he also brings another famous definition. Politics is struggle for power. Now let's see how others change this. Okay. Now comes another famous political scientist called as David Easton. David Easton. Right. Now David Easton, also a behavioral thinker in his initial years, said to see what is a political man, like how Harold Lasswell went, wanted to understand who is the political man, wanted to delineate what is the political situation. All these things that David Easton also did a lot of researches. Okay. After that, David Easton found one thing. Among all the communities and the societies where he researched, politics is generally, the term politics is generally used in two meanings. In two meanings, according to David Easton. Okay. So politics is generally used in two meanings in the societies where Easton researched. The first meaning is akin to what Harold Lasswell has found: struggle for power and positions. In office, lot of politics, doesn't it? We use this terminology, don't we? Okay. Struggle for power and positions. So this is one meaning attached to the term politics in all the societies he researched. And another meaning was very, very important. This is the most important meaning which we generally associate with David Easton. The famous definition of David Easton's politics comes: authoritative allocation of policies. So, David Easton, after researching many communities, found that politics, the term politics, is generally used among the communities where he researched in two meanings. The first meaning is what Harold Lasswell has found as struggle for power and positions. The second meaning is authoritative allocation of policies. This is not the definition. The definition is different. This is what he found. Finally, after combining these two things, he will give the famous definition. I will tell the definition a little bit later. Right? Let's explain what is this authoritative allocation of policies. See, David Easton also accepts what Harold Lasswell said. What Harold Lasswell said. Politics is all pervasive. Politics is everywhere. Even in family we do politics. Even in among peer group we do politics. Even among colleagues we do politics. Everywhere we do politics. David Easton accepts what Harold Lasswell has said. Okay. In family, what we do? What we do? There is a, see, father, mother, son, daughter is there. Right? Father or mother would dictate their children, saying that, see, you go to college, no problem, but 5 o'clock you have to be here. Okay. If the son or daughter says, no dad, we have so much or so other things, nothing doing. Okay, 4 o'clock your college ends, 1 hour, 5 o'clock you have to be here. So you have to start preparing for your exams. Daily study is must. Okay. So certain policy is been defined. Certain policy is being defined, decided. Okay, it has been defined, decided. In the family, in an authoritative way. Father does that, mother does that. In certain societies, all of them sit, discuss, and decide. Certain families will be very democratic. Okay, the father, mother, son, daughter, all will sit and finally decide some allocation. Okay, at what time we have to come back? 5 o'clock. At what time we have to eat? 9 o'clock. All these they'll decide, sit and discuss. Okay. But either way, many policies, rules, and regulations will be set by the members of the family in an authoritative way. Okay. David Easton said, so this is the most defining moment or defining example. Even in family, what we do? Even in family, we try to set rules. This is what politics is all about. Creating rules, creating regulations, creating policies, said David Easton. So according to David Easton, politics is authoritative allocation of values. The value can be anything. It can be dignity. The family members will decide. Okay. So how to dress up, how to behave in a public setting, because dignity is very important. Okay. So this is what politics is. This is what politics is, said David Easton. So for many problems, many situations, what David Easton said, what is a political situation? A situation which demand a policy. A situation which demand a policy to be made is called as a political situation according to David Easton. So all the people in the particular setting try to give a solution to that. Try to give a solution to that. Try to give a policy to that. In that capacity, the man is behaving like a political man, said David Easton. So who is the political man? A man who is trying to set rules. A man who is trying to regulate. A man who is trying to authoritative allocate value. So this happens everywhere, according to David Easton. This happens everywhere. This happens in a family. This happens in the peer group setup, among friends, among colleagues. We might be going for a party, or we might be going to a tea shop. And one person would say, see, come by 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, or probably all of us meet by 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So you come from your office, I come from my office. We set rules for ourselves. Correct. What we are doing essentially? Politics. Because we are authoritatively allocating things. Policy is there, value is there. You understood. You understood. So politics is nothing, not only that thing that is associated with the government. Understand. Politics is everywhere. Politics is everywhere. Inside the family we do politics. We try to set rules. We try to set regulations for our own family members. You understood? This is where politics changes. If all of us decide, sit and discuss and decide the policy, then it becomes a democratic politics. It becomes a democratic politics. What is democracy? Consensus. Where all of us sit and discuss and decide. That is democracy, isn't it? Right. So, politics can be both authoritative politics and democratic politics. Authoritative politics can be a monarchic authoritative politics, can be aristocratic authoritative politics, can be a dictatorship authoritative politics. In a monarchic authoritative politics, it is authoritative politics. There's no democracy there. The people don't discuss. But the person who does politics comes on hereditary basis. Only one person does politics there. All other people are just mere subjects. That is our politics. His politics is set rules. Our politics is to follow that rules. So all of us are doing politics, but our politics is different, his politics is different. In a monarchic setup, a king dictates, all the other people listen. Okay. The same does in a dictatorship. In aristocracy, slightly difference happens. The group of 4 or 5 people or 10 people dictates and all other people listen. So their politics is to make rules and these people's politics to listen to them. Only in a democracy, all of us sit, discuss and make rules for ourselves. Democratic politics. That is the reason democratic politics is hailed all over the world. So all of us sit, discuss and decide, okay, this is the problem, what is the policy? That is the problem, what is the policy? So you might say, sir, we are not doing that. Say, anyway, we are going to elect our own representatives and they are doing it on our behalf, sir. Right? We will come there a little bit later. Okay. But right now, the very concept of democracy is this consensus, building a consensus where all of us jointly take a decision. So politics is everywhere. Inside the family, we can do politics. We can authoritatively allocate values. We can bring policies. We can set rules. We can create regulations. Either in a democratic way or in an authoritative way. One person, a father can dictate and say, this is what you have to do. Or all the members of the family can discuss and do. But either way, we are doing politics in the family. So politics is not a bad word. Politics is not a bad word. It is a very, very positive word. If someone said lot of politics in office, definitely they are using in the bad sense actually. No doubt in that. They are using in the sense like how David Easton and Harold Lasswell said, struggle for power and positions. Try to backstab, get more power, get into better positions. But to be very honest, you cannot stay away from politics, guys. They used to say, see, you know about Robinson Crusoe? A fictionary story where a person went to an island and only one person lived in that island. Okay. Similarly, probably you enter into a boat crashed and you go to uninhabited island. There's no one there. The total natural setting and yourself, you're the only person there in the island. Imagination. Okay, let's imagine. Now, is politics required? Not required, because you are only one person. Your rules, your life. No rules needed. No regulation needed. Nothing needed. Nothing needed. Your rules, your life. Because there is no one else in this island. Correct. Suddenly, another boat crashes. Now, another person also comes to the same uninhabited island now, but not uninhabited. Already you are there. Okay, so now both of you are there. Now, do you need politics? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. Even if one person enters, now we need rules. We need regulations. How close you can go to the other person? Can you touch and speak or not? Can you wake him up at what time? Because he might get angry. He might scold you. Problems might come. You might fight. So you will set rules for yourself, regulations for yourself. What is this? This is politics. This is what politics is all about. So politics is not just that thing that is concerning government. Politics is everywhere. Politics is everywhere. You understood. This is what David Easton famously said. Harold Lasswell and David Easton famously said, authoritative allocation of values. Okay. Politics is everywhere. It is not that something that is concerning the government. Politics is all about rule making. Politics is all about regulations making, law making. Right. So David Easton famously said, politics is all about struggling for power, rule making, rule implementing, and rules adjudicating. You have to check whether the rule is correct or not, isn't it? Even that is politics. You understood? So this is how politics is. So everything is politics. Okay. So not only standing in elections is politics. Okay. Not only standing in elections is politics. After standing election, only actual politics starts. You make rules as an MLA or an MP. Okay. Then you implement rules as a minister. Then you adjudicate as a top judiciary. Okay. Right. So everything is politics. That is the reason we say all these things are three organs of government. Do you judicial organ, executive organ, legislative organ? Why we say organs of government? Because these are the people, they actually do politics. Okay. But all these years we have been thinking politics is something to do with standing in elections, isn't it? It is not that. And similarly, you'll always be thinking politics is something to do with state, government only. No, politics is everywhere. All of us do politics. Every one of us do politics. Okay. I'll try to explain this same politics, the different example and different definition, so that you can easily understand what is politics. Right. So now I come to the definition which I like most. Okay. The famous definition. I have derived this definition from Alan's Ball concept of politics or political setup. a political situation, right? Okay. What is politics? See, morning you get up. What are the things you do? Morning you get up, refresh, and come home, come to your dinner table, chit chat to your father, mother, sister, and probably if friends are there, you chit chat with them, take dinner, go take your bike. Probably if some friends are there outside the bike, you will speak with them and take the bike, go to a temple, place of worship, mosque, church, whichever of your interest. You go, you worship it there. Then probably if you need petrol in your bike, you go to a petrol bunk, put petrol, okay, and come to studying any IAS academy or any academy for your preparation, something like that, right? Now, what are all the activities that you do on a daily basis? Can we sum it up? Morning, you get up, you speak with your parents, your friends. What this activity can be called? Social activity. Social activity. After that, I said you went to a temple or a church or a mosque. What this activity can be called? Cultural activity. After that, you went to a petrol bunk to fill petrol in your bike. You gave 100 rupees road and filled petrol for 100 rupees. Right? Fine. What is this activity called as? It involves goods, exchange of goods, isn't it? It is nothing but economic activity. So, all the activities every human being does on a daily basis can be summed up into these three activities: social activity, cultural activity, or economic activity, isn't it? It can be summed up to any of these three activities. Now, the question comes: what if a problem comes in any of these activities? What if a problem comes in any of these activities? What will you do? For example, morning you are discussing with your friends in the bike parking. Suddenly one of the friends slapped you. A problem has come. Right? And you are going to a church, mosque, or a temple. Yeah, suddenly a person who is an atheist comes and speaks ill of your God. A problem comes. You went to the petrol bank and you are giving a 500 rupees note and asking him to fill a petrol for 100 rupees. And after filling petrol for 100 rupees, he is not giving you change. He is saying that you gave only 100 rupees note. You have not given 500 rupees note, you gave only 100 rupees note. A problem comes. Now, what will you do when a problem comes? The earlier scenario, one of your friends have slapped you. Okay. Immediately, you will try to discuss and pacify that particular friend. What happened? Why you have slapped me? What is that? Right? Or suddenly he has slapped. Probably you will not be in a mood to pacify. If you are an angry person, you will also slap him back. That's a different story. But probably if two persons are fighting, okay, two persons are fighting in the same bike parking. So you will try to pacify both of them. Why you are fighting? Why you are fighting? What is that? So what are you doing then? What activity is that? The activity of problem solving. What is an activity? The second scenario, one of the person is speaking ill of your God because he is an atheist. Immediately what you will do? So probably you will call up the police and say, so he is creating a lot of problem inside our temple, mosque or the church, which I don't like. So immediately come and take this guy out. So what are you doing there? What is this activity? You try to solve that problem. Otherwise you would have escalated a bigger problem, bigger social issue then. Correct. So what activity are you doing then? Come to the third issue. That particular person has slapped, he said like you gave only 100 rupees note. So immediately you go to the manager and ask the CCTV camera and ask him to show the CCTV camera and try to solve that issue. What is this activity? So whenever a problem came in a social activity, a problem comes in your cultural activity, a problem comes in your economic activity, What is that activity of you trying to solve that problem? What is it called? That activity is called as politics, guys. Politics is essentially a activity of problem solving. Activity of problem solving. The problem that comes in your social setup, in your cultural setup, in your economic setup, any problem that comes, if you try to solve that problem, you are doing politics. So politics is the inherent capacity of a human being, not of a government or a state, like how the people have defined all these years. That is wrong. Politics, the political capacity is the inherent capacity of every human being. Every one of us have the capacity to do politics. Politics is not only about elections, it is about problem solving. From ancient times till date, all of us have done politics. As a tribal group, yes, we have been doing politics, isn't it? In a family setup, we are doing politics. We try to solve our own problems in our own way possible. Correct. So politics is about problem solving. Every society has had their own way of problem solving. Caste system, all these systems have been developed. Okay. Now we say because of the domination that is there in the caste system, we might say it's wrong. Correct, it is wrong in a lot of sense. But having said that, all these will be created to solve problems in the tribal setup. Okay, there won't be a tribal head, and he will authoritatively say, okay, this is how we have to behave. So the problems were solved, or else the rules were set in such a way that future problems don't come. Correct. So all these centuries together, people have been doing politics. It's not only about government. Every people do politics. In a peer group setup, say you're going in a bike, and in the roadside you see 5 people fighting. Suddenly, some people are looking into something. Immediately, you'll try to stop the bike and go and see what happens there. Correct. Some are fighting, you'll try to pacify them. Okay, why you are fighting? What happens? Suddenly, you fight in your own family party or something like that. What are you doing then? What activity are you doing then? It is called a political activity. It is called as a political activity. So all of us have the capacity to do political activity, and all of us do political activity on a daily basis in our life. Politics is essentially an activity of problem solving. The people protest in streets. We want this, we want that. What they are doing? They are trying to influence government, get things done from the government. They're trying to solve the problem that is there, give idea to the government to solve the problem in the way they want. So agricultural laborers will be wanting something, they will be protesting. Agriculturalists, the farmers will be protesting. The teachers will be asking something, the students will be asking something. They will be protesting, asking the government, we demand that, we demand this. So what they are doing? They are doing politics. They're trying to influence the government, get things from the government, done from the government. In other words, they're trying to solve their problems the way they know. This is politics. Okay. Certain times we can do politics in a spontaneous way. Okay. Spontaneous way. Sometimes we have to do politics only through the codified rules and regulations. See, as I've already told you, all of us are doing politics. But can we do politics against the law of the land? So our politics is overruled by the codified rules and regulations of our own land, our country, Indian state. It has its own codified rules and regulations. Right? So I told you an example, you call up the police station. So you follow the rules and regulations which has already been written. So that is one way of doing politics. One way of doing politics. Okay. So now we'll try to define politics comprehensively. I write it down so that you also write it down. Politics is a process by which the social, cultural and economic problems of the society are solved either spontaneously, either spontaneously or through pre-existing but amended rules and regulations. Got it. Politics is the process by which the social, cultural, and economic problems of the society are solved either spontaneously or through pre existing or amended rules and regulations. Okay. Right. Now, I have a question. Sir, I want to solve a problem. Okay. Two people are fighting. My friends are fighting. Okay. I have been telling them, don't fight. I am trying to pacify them and they're not getting pacified. And they're saying the same thing. I slapped one guy. And now the problem is solved, sir. Can I do that? See, if you want, you can do that. But don't call that as politics. That is violence. Politics generally is peaceful solution. See, you will be seeing two groups will be fighting. Or one country will be trying to attack another country. Right? Immediately, the statesman of this country will be saying in the media that we are trying to look for the political solution. What is the political solution? What they mean by the political solution? Already some war is happening. A military impact is happening. Correct? The problem is there. Military solution is already been done. But why that is not called as a political solution, guys? Then what is the political solution? Political solution is a solution by agreement, rules and regulation, which is done in a peaceful manner. So now let's redefine. Politics is a process by which the social, culture and economic problems of the society are solved either spontaneously or through pre-existing or amended rules and regulation in a peaceful manner. Sorry, I used the other piece here. In a peaceful manner. Right? So politics is all about peace. So you can say, sir, my total kith and kin, my language people, my ethnic people have been genocided, have been killed by the government. And they say that is their military solution. How can I do politics in a peaceful manner? So I will definitely take arms, sir. That is my politics. You can argue. What I would say is, you might be justified then in taking arms. You might be, I do not know. But don't call that as politics. That is definitely violence or terrorism. Okay. So you cannot take arms and say, this is my political solution. I am trying to give a political solution through killing other people. You cannot say. Politics always needs a peaceful solution, a peaceful manner. So a political solution is a solution which is done by agreements between two parties, where rules and regulations are signed between two parties. Okay, this is how he have to behave, that is how I will behave. And all these things will be done in a peaceful manner, in such a way that peace prevails. Only then we are bringing a political solution to it. You understand? Always remember this. So you cannot justify and argue, sir, there is a problem that is existing in my society. Okay, the government is killing us, or someone is killing us, this group is killing us, that group is killing us. So we are also taking arms and killing them back. So we are doing our own politics. You cannot justify. You can kill them back, but that is definitely terrorism. That is not politics. That is definitely a violent terrorist solution. That is not a political solution. Okay, to the problem that is there. You understood? So what is politics, guys? Politics is the process by which the social, cultural and economic problems of the society are solved either spontaneously or through pre-existing or amended rules and regulations in a peaceful manner. Okay. If the problems are solved by one man or a group of men, it is called as authoritative politics. If all the people sit and discuss and solve the problems themselves, it is called as democratic politics. Got it? So politics, this is solving problems. Ancient times, we did some tribal politics, authoritative politics. Then monarchic kingdom started to come, aristocracy in certain areas. Okay. Slowly and steadily, republican system started to come. And slowly and steadily, democratic system started to come. Now we are living in an era of democratic politics. Whether all the world constitutions are truly democratic, that is a different question. We will discuss that in different chapters. At least the essence is democracy. Where democracy is nothing but consensus here. The people sit and discuss and decide how we are going to solve the problem that we are facing. You understood, guys? Understood, guys? So this is what politics is. By this way, we understand politics is everywhere. It is there in the family. It is there in the peer group setting. Everywhere we face a lot of problems. Everywhere we don't see. We don't go to government for even small problems, don't we? Small problems that we face. We don't go to government. We don't go to the police station. Do we? What we do? We try to solve it ourselves. Then in that capacity, every man is a political man. So politics is a capacity that every human being has. So in daily life, we are doing politics. Daily life, we are doing politics. In everywhere, we are doing politics. In every association, we are doing politics. You understood, guys? As I told you, remember this. If you are in an uninhabited island, only yourself, no one else is there, then no politics needed. No politics needed. But even if one more person enters the same island, then politics becomes essential. Politics becomes essential. Rules and regulations have to be formed. What is the limit of how much he has to speak, how much he has to speak, how close you can to come to that person, how close he or she can come to you. All these things, rules and regulations have to be formed. Technically, politics exists there. Okay. You understood? Always also remember, we can do politics spontaneously for every situation. New solution we can bring, that is spontaneous solutions. Okay, do that, do this. We also do codified rules and regulations. That is already rules and regulations will be written. Go to the government, MLA, MP, and through that create a policy. Through that rules and regulations, there is a police system is there, judicial system is there. Through that also we can solve our problems. You understood? But either way, remember the last line. Politics always entails peace. Peace. Okay. You cannot take arms and say, this is my way of doing politics. No one is justified in taking arms and saying, it is my way of doing politics. Okay. You might be justified by other means, but don't call that as politics. That is definitely terrorism. You got it? Okay. So this is what politics, guys. Hope by now you would have understood the definition of politics in a more simple way. Okay, this is very important for you to understand the political science subject. Okay, it is not like politics is only about the government. It is not about all the activities of the government as politics. or not only standing election in politics. It is not like that. Politics is all pervasive. Everywhere we do politics. Politics is a human activity of problem solving, that particular capacity every human being has. Certain people will have that capacity a little bit more. So probably they will be revered by all their colleagues, and probably they will think, okay, this is time for me to stand in elections to do politics for the larger public. So they will stand in elections and they will do service to the larger public by becoming an MLA, MP, or minister. Right. So politics is not only that. Okay. By now, I hope you would have understood what is politics.